Hi, Barry.
Can you go over your pitching decisions for the tryouts now? Do you have a game 2 and game 3?
No game 3. Yamamoto will start game 2.
And what's your plans for Ohtani pitching wise right now?
He'll if there is a game 3, he'll probably start game 3.
And then how about Clayton? What's your plans with him?
He threw yesterday a full ramp up, so he's not going to be on this roster.
But he'll be back perhaps if you're in the DS?
If we're fortunate enough, he'll be on the DS roster, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Hey Dave, how was there much consideration of maybe doing Ohtani game 1? How much of that kind of also just on trying to manage his workload and allow him to kind of focus on hitting these first 2 games?
I think that the workload, it's the proper rest for Snell, Yamamoto, and obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the game 3, but then also there's an off day after that. So just thinking through everything.
Dave, is there any update on Will Smith?
Will is in the cage taking batting practice, came out of it well. He's going to take part in the live session outside tonight during our workout. So encouraged.
And is there any consideration maybe keeping him on the roster even if he's not catching as a potential like a pinch hit option?
If he can get through today and feel good, then it's a viable thought. Yeah.
Dave, with Ohtani, obviously if you guys can wrap this thing up kind of on the earlier, right, if you can finish the series in 2 games, has implications for the next series. How much did that factor into, placing Ohtani where you did?
Yeah, that played a role as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Hi Dave. Looking back to last year's postseason run compared to this one, what's the biggest collective difference you see with this team?
The starting pitching is considerably better. Is in a much better health state as well. That's probably the biggest difference between last year's team.
Hi, as you prepare for the Reds and their style of play, are there trademarks of a Terry Francona team that you see in the Reds this year?
You know what, I think that Tito just kind of lets his guys do their thing. I think that they're a resilient group. They play 27 outs. They play with energy. I think it's a very well-balanced team. Obviously, the starters are very notable, but they put the ball in play. They compete. They play, solid defense. He's got some guys that he trusts in the pen, but I think for the most part, Tito just kind of lets guys play and play with energy.
Hi Dave, I saw you gave him some at-bat last series at the Seattle. Did you see some improvement?
I did. He looked really good. I thought his at-bats were really good. It was good to get him some consistent at-bats. And like I've always said, I think Haesung's he's been fantastic for us this year, and going into tomorrow evening, we've got some tough roster decisions that we're continuing to talk through right now. But he's had a heck of a year.
Hey Dave, how are you? With the whole World Series hangover, how important is setting the tone in Game 1?
Yeah. I don't think, the hangover part I don't think that's relevant anymore. I think that we are locked in and focused on this series. But I do think that, being at home, not having to travel, it's important for us to strike early and really not let these guys kind of hang around and gain confidence. And like I've talked about edge and just keeping our edge and not kind of giving these guys any opportunity of life,
Dave, when you look at Sasaki, how good he looked, how do you weigh that against, maybe it wasn't like the most pressurized of situations. the fact that it was only twice. How do you kind of weigh all that, and do you know yet if he's going to be on the roster?
I expect him to be on the roster. Yeah, I expected. We haven't finalized anything yet. I still think that the way he threw, the big games that he's pitched in before, I think that that's something that I can trust, certainly. I don't know what role that would be, but I think that what I've seen in the last couple outings, and even the ones in AAA, are considerably different than the ones he had earlier this year.
Hi Dave, how much confidence do you have in the new version of the bullpen?
Much more confidence, than we had a couple weeks ago. And I think that it's because those guys have shown the confidence in themselves where they're throwing the baseball. I think the last week we saw guys more on the attack, setting the tone versus, pitching behind or pitching too careful. So, I think that that Seattle series was really impressive from our pen.
Hey Dave, you mentioned that you're more confident about the pitching going into this postseason. You've only had one guy throw above 170 innings. I know a lot of that is due to injury, but how much does it help to have fresh arms that haven't gone through the wear and tear of the season?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's. I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's everything. But yeah, Yoshinobu's the only guy that's kind of gone north of that. But I think that he's thrown his best, in the second half of the season. But the other guys, there's a lot left, bullets left in the season. So I do think that, where the postseason gets more intensified, having those extra bullets, could be a benefit. And our guys certainly aren't taxed as far as innings this year.
What are the inherent dangers, if any, of facing a 6 seed that just clinched and kind of has the momentum just because they just clinched it yesterday and they're going right into the playoffs, kind of as is?
Well, I think the dangers are the youthful enthusiasm, the naivete. There's not a lot of experience, and I think that sometimes it happens so quick that they're just riding a wave. And I think a way to combat that is we have to not take them lightly, because it's a really good ball club and they played their way into the postseason. Also, when you're playing against a team that essentially feels like they have nothing to lose, that kind of mindset. But we're aware of it. We're focused on playing well, and know that these guys are a good ball club, and we got to play good baseball. So, but those, just to answer your question.
How are Max and Tommy doing? Are you expecting them to have any limitations this week? Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're both in a good spot right now. I'm glad we gave Max the weekend. Tommy would now have had 2 days for that ankle, so I expect them both to be in the lineup tomorrow. And then, how does like a postseason like this compare when you come in after the success of last year versus the last couple of Octobers, when you have like the pressure of having not, won the year before? Like, does it create a different vibe as you guys start this run?
Well, one thing that's different is, we get 1 day off and then we're playing after the regular season. I don't know about the pressure. Like, it's hard to answer the pressure thing. I want to win this year as much as I wanted to last year. I don't know if it's because, why that is, but and I think that the players feel the same way. I don't know if it's easier or harder that we won last year, but honestly, Jack, all we care about is winning this year, and winning this year.
Mookie was just in here and was pretty transparent about his return to full health, embracing playing shortstop, and kind of the mental challenges he overcame. I guess for you, knowing the athlete he is and what he's capable of, when did you see him make the turn and really enjoy playing the game and the offense coming to him again?
I think the offense, when he kind of said that the year was lost, and when he kind of made that admission, that's when I think it sort of flipped for him, just freeing his mind up. But then there was a play, I don't recall where it was at, but a play going to his backhand that he made this play, pretty spectacular play where for me, it was just being an athlete playing shortstop and not just kind of the mechanical part of it. Like he just looked like a natural shortstop right there. And I don't remember the backhand play, but then, you know, he has been, you know, as good as I could have ever expected playing that position.
Yeah, Dave, over the weekend you kind of said with Tanner specifically that he didn't have the season that he kind of envisioned, but he can kind of wipe it away with a good October. How much is that kind of true for a lot of the guys who maybe didn't have the seasons that they were kind of hoping going into this year?
You know, I could spit out 6 or 7 names pretty easily. And that's the great thing about the postseasons. You know, moments and opportunities present themselves and how you perform. People remember those moments. And so we've got guys like that in our clubhouse right now. So yeah, that's kind of the hope and the messaging from me that, you know, nothing that these guys have done prior matters. You know, it's kind of the next 4 weeks and how we're prepared mentally, physically, and, you know, to go out there and play our best baseball, you know, individually, collectively. So Tanner's certainly in that bucket.
There's so many players who experienced the postseason last year. How much does it help you to navigate the team in the tough October?
I think it's easier with the experience, and I say that because in the postseason, the game gets fast, the emotions get high, adrenaline gets going, crowd gets crazy, and so with the experience, you have the ability to kind of slow it down a little bit and control your emotions. So for me, having a lot of guys that have experience makes my job easier, and just sort of watching the game and trying to navigate that. But as far as the players, I think having experience is really beneficial.